to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
Sounds great, anyway, like, I've gotten complaints from mom about, like, Jay sounds really quiet. I'm like, does he? I don't know.
It's the way that my voice carries in terms of, like, microphones and stuff. It's not a problem in real life. You've met me before.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been years since I've, like, actually seen you, but still, like, I get you.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't carry as well in terms of microphones or stuff like that.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I actually, I just gave our buddy Jimmy some audio advice because he's looking to upgrade his setup.
Nice.
Because we did the watch along last night.
Yeah, it figures like the one night that I don't like have anything to do with work or anything like that that I could have legitimately joined is, Survivor premiere night.
We'll talk about it later, but like I did want to because I've been itching to talk about this for a while. We're gonna a show like I want to say it was New Year's of not this past, but the year before. We started with music chat because you really, really got me into Dawn FM, right?
Yes, and we haven't done a ton of music stuff lately. In part, there's many reasons why. One of them being I am awful when it comes to like listening to music that people like recommend to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many times have you been like, you should listen to this song, and then you're like,
and I was like, did you do it yet? And you're like, no.
No, I'm bad at that. I'm admittedly terrible. And part of the reason I'm terrible at it is partly because I never respond to texts.
You go like 10 texts in, and I'm like, dude, are you alive? Are you? So I actually the last like month, I've had, 3 songs have come out that I'm a huge fan of, and one of these bands we're both a gigantic fan of, and we'll talk about that one second. One they've become the first one I want to talk about. They were my number 3 artist on my 2023 Wrapped.
Oh, nice.
And my mom was surprised that they weren't at least like 2.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard of either the other 2 besides number 2 that we'll talk about, but
we're gonna start with shout outs to Jimmy again because he reacted to this on his secondary channel, The Bottom Line. We're starting with The Warning, and we're starting with Sick.
Yeah.
So have you ever checked out more?
No, I to be honest, I'd have to look. I want to say I maybe heard of The Warning before, but I'd have to like look through their catalog to see if I actually have or not.
So basically,
it does exist.
So I'm a huge fan of these girls, and the gist of who they are is they're a trio of sisters from Monterrey in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And they jam, and they're young, and they're like they've been making music since like 2015 with a debut EP, and for being around for almost 10 years, they're so young. The oldest one is 2 years younger than me. Like she's your age.
Yeah, wow.
It's amazing how young and talented they are. They've put out 3 studio albums. They're working on their 4th, and they put out last year and obviously back at the beginning of February. They put out 2 singles teasing their newer stuff coming out. And Sick is, well, I mean, it's sick.
It was really good.
It's the heavier of the 2. Like More is very much it's got some pop, like bubblegum pop sensibilities to it. With synths and stuff in it, but again, these girls just jam out. And if you watched, I don't know if you actually got to watch the video for Sick.
I did not.
A minute to do it.
These songs like while I was finishing up my shift, and then a little bit more when I was driving back home. So I didn't really have the chance to watch the video.
The video is like all black and white, like kind of like ink blotty looking. and it's got them on motorcycles, and it looks all like Black Sabbath. It looks so good.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
It's really just compared to the More music video, which is really like bright and colorful, and they're like throwing plush toys at each other and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but I love both of these songs, and like, Sick, just when that came out, I was like, oh, I can't wait for the day I get to actually see them. Because again, for being around as long as they have, they're still like really up and coming, and they're just getting started.
Yeah. Have they like made any trips like out here or?
They actually did just last year, and I missed the show because it was on a Thursday, and I couldn't get off work in time for it because they were at Sonic Temple last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
they've actually announced a few other festivals that they're going to. They're going to Louder Than Life
Hmm.
in Louisville this year.
That sounds like fun.
So yeah, they're doing some festival shows back here over in the States. But if you look at their website right now, it's really their tour dates are just their current European tour.
Nice.
They started the year on Shiprocked, this like cruise festival, like a festival on a cruise ship. It's awesome.
Okay. That sounds fun.
Yeah,
Like music cruises.
yeah.
That'd be pretty dope. I love
Uh,
cruises. I'm thinking about going on one next year.
yeah.
Not, but yeah.
I've never been on a cruise myself. I really want to go. My mom and my stepdad just recently went on a trip to Costa Rica, and I was really jealous. I need to go on a
Yeah.
trip like that.
Yeah. Definitely. You'd
But
love it.
yeah, I love The Warning so much, and I'm so happy Jimmy's a fan, and we were able to talk about that a little bit
Yeah.
because they're just, I love them, and they're great, super fun, and the fact that it's just the three of them, it makes it a little bit better to me.
Hmm.
And I could talk about The Warning all day, to be honest with you. Again, they were like number 3 on my Spotify Wrapped. It was Water Parks first. Shout out to Cap for Water Parks
Okay.
because she really got me into them. And number 2 is our next band and our next
I
song.
kind of figured because I remember making a comment to you when your Spotify Wrapped coming out that I was surprised that 2 wasn't 1.
Right, yeah, mom said the same thing.
Yeah.
So our boys, Linkin Park,
Yeah.
are doing a really big project now.
Hmm.
For everybody. Like Mike, last year was fun with everybody except for Rob because Rob likes to stay pretty quiet. With the Meteor 20 stuff. And that's when we got lost and we got Fighting Myself and all of those songs that came
Hmm.
out,
Yeah.
right? So Meteor 20 was huge. And then Mike started working on some solo stuff he did in my head for the Scream 6 movie. And then he put out the Crimson chapter with Already Over as the big hit from that.
Yeah.
And a bunch of remixes for Already Over, which that kind of leans back into some of the heavier stuff,
Right.
right? His heavier sound. And this time they tease us with a brand new song and a huge project with
Yeah.
all of this like light bright green going on with all the teasing,
Yeah.
right? Did you see any of that?
The aesthetic of it was really cool.
Yeah. So
I
what
like
they're
that.
so the whole project is called Paper Cuts,
Yeah.
and it's a singles collection.
Hmm.
It's a 4-disc set um with 20 songs. The first disc is Crawling, Faint, Numb Encore from Collision Course,
Hmm.
uh, Paper Cut, and Breaking the Habit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second disc is In the End, Bleed It Out, Somewhere I Belong, Waiting for the End, and Castle of
Oh,
Glass.
oh my God.
That second disc is great.
Oh, that is loaded.
That's a
My God.
loaded disc. Yep.
Yeah.
Uh, disc 3 starts with One More Light.
Oh,
I know.
uh,
Goes to
that is one that is just too hard to listen to.
I know. I listened to the whole album recently because of this, and it still hits really
It's
hard.
so, yeah,
It's a gut wrencher.
it hits you like in the chest.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Then it goes to Burn It Down.
Mm-hmm.
Really Happy Living Things got some love on this. What I've Done is third.
Yeah.
They're releasing a polished version of QWERTY.
Okay.
Yeah, so like a
Yeah.
song that didn't make it from Minutes to Midnight is
Right.
finally getting an official version.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's really fun to get some QWERTY in there. And then that disc 3 ends with One Step Closer. So disc 3 ends really heavy.
Yeah. Wow.
Disc 4, New Divide. Leave out all the rest. Lost. So Lost is getting
Yeah.
some love. Numb. And then this brand new unreleased song from 2017 when they were doing One More Light.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Friendly Fire.
Yeah.
When I first tell me what you thought about Friendly Fire.
I thought it was really good. Because I didn't know what to expect heading
Mhm.
into it because I didn't know all of this what you're explaining right now. So when I heard Chester, it was just like, oh my God. Like it's crazy
Right.
because even though it's a song I hadn't heard before,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't like, it's not like a super like it's not like a heavier song.
Right. One More Light.
It still has it's incredible the nostalgia that band can really bring out of you, no matter
Right.
what era of music they were making.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I've always appreciated about Linkin Park. Like it didn't matter what year the album came out or what song it was.
Right.
It all felt very current.
They were able to stick with it. Didn't matter, like, because Meteora shot them over the top
Yeah,
into the mainstream with stuff, right? And then
it
they
did.
go in this whole new direction
Hmm.
with Minutes, and
Yes.
it's got heavy stuff, it's got brighter stuff, it's got a
Like, there's
little bit
not a
of
better song to
everything.
represent it than What I've Done, right?
Probably, yeah, that's like the song
That's
of the
the
era.
song. Yeah. So
Um,
it was so cool. It was almost surreal in a sense, kind of listening to it. I'm not gonna lie.
right, and then they started doing more Transformer stuff. They put, New Divide out with Revenge of the Fallen. And then the A Thousand Suns era was really experimental, and you get the
It
whole
was.
through
I liked
line
the
with the
experiment though. I really did.
you get this whole like nuclear war storyline, and it's more electronic and really
Yeah.
dark and fun and just cool and gritty.
It's not very often that you get a band that like or an artist, whatever, that will experiment and very consistently hit on those experiments. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Because after that was my favorite era with Living Things. That was when I actually got to see them.
Yeah.
Um, and that took everything from the first four and really blended them all together.
Hmm.
And it created this really cool electronic sound. You get Mike rapping, you get Mike singing, you get Chester doing everything.
Yeah.
You get riffs in the foreground, in the background, you get the electronics, you get a bit of everything, right? And then they kind of go backwards with the Hunting Party, which I'm really surprised that the Hunting Party didn't get a lot of love in this. Like, there's not a single song
Yeah.
from the Hunting Party on this Paper Cuts collection.
Interesting.
So, like, they didn't even
Do you think
choose.
that that's something that may come down the line with another project?
That could, like, I'm honestly extremely surprised that, like, Final Masquerade didn't make it,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know? Because that was definitely my favorite. And that's the era we bonded over,
Yeah.
which makes that kind of special to us, right? It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, what are they doing there? And then One More Light was a total 180.
Yeah.
It's very bright, poppy
Yeah.
sound. You bring in Pusha T and Stormzy and Kiara and
Hmm.
um, John Green in the songwriting, and it's very mellow. And then everything happened
Yeah.
a few
Yeah.
months after,
Yeah.
which really makes that era somber for a lot of us.
It makes that era so difficult
It's very bittersweet, isn't it?
because it's so beautiful, but at the same time, you can't hear it and not get fucking sad.
I remember telling the story, right? Like Mike and I were gonna go see them again
Yeah.
that August, and Chester passed a month before.
God.
So to see them come together, they got Mike Fiore back. I don't know if they had any talks with Dave Gilmour about any of this, but Fiore's been there for a long time with him. So getting him in to put this collection together is a really fun touch that we're going to get to see in April.
Yeah.
So like those two have been consistently in my rotation. And then the last one I wanted to talk about was 10 Years, which I find these guys pretty underrated. I had a couple of songs of theirs that for a while it took me a bit to get back into after some stuff happened. But I still really like the songs Fix Me and The Unknown.
Mm-hmm.
They're good jams. And Rise, I thought was, the one that just came out. You didn't like it?
No, it's not that like I didn't think it was like it just wasn't my style.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my vibe. Like I didn't like shut it off after like a minute and be like, oh, ugh. No,
Right.
it's not something I would like keep in my shuffle. You know what I mean?
Fair. That's very fair. I don't know.
But
I like the you get a lot of heavy elements in that, but then you also get this like uplifting kind of
yeah,
sound in the chorus, which is kind of fun.
I did like that. I liked the more uplifting elements than I did the heavier. I that was it for me, was the heavier part wasn't the heavier sound that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. And that's what kind of
Right.
threw me away. But there were elements in there that I liked.
That's fair. Yeah, it's fun to pick apart songs like this too, because like we haven't had a chance to do that probably
We're
since.
analyzing it like we're analyzing a hockey game.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I thought, I really enjoyed that song.
The first period I thought was pretty good, but it's the third period.
Let me tell you about this good old Canadian kid over here.
Well, for us, it's the Russians, eh?
Yeah, oh yeah, it is. Dos Vidania. Yeah. So hockey, huh? You want to get into that?
Yes, it is a hockey podcast.
I guess.
I suppose we have a duty.
I suppose we do with friends of ours at a certain sports book.
Yes, we do.
Let's give out some kudos and some Kepis with our Kepi Keeper by DraftKings Sportsbook. We know the games go fast, but with our buddies at DraftKings, you can score a lot faster. This week, as with past weeks, new customers can bet $5 and get 200 instantly in bonus bets. So let's take a look at this little tiny slate for Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Or Friday. Excuse me. It's been a long couple of weeks, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It's been weird, especially at work with like systems being down and stuff being like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There we are. Okay, so we got a bit of a tank bowl going on to start things. Between the Coyotes and the poor Senators.
The Chikrin Bowl.
A little bit of a Chikrin Bowl, yeah.
Chikrin Bowl sounds kind of yummy, doesn't it?
It sounds
Maybe
like
let's go and get a nice Chikrin Bowl from Chipotle.
It sounds like some like curry recipe, right?
Yeah. It's definitely a zesty recipe.
The Coyotes are a plus 145 and the Sens are a minus 175.
I honestly would probably go with the Coyotes simply because they've been so cold. Like they have to snap this skid they're on eventually, right?
Yeah, because it's been like 1 out of the past 12.
Yeah,
because they went on a 10-game losing streak, and
yeah,
but then
quite brutal.
but then you also look at our buddy poor Corpy and just how bad he's been all year long. Granted, that defense doesn't help.
Fuck no.
When has he ever had a defense that helped him?
2019.
Very fair. But that's also been 5 years, dude. It's been half a decade already.
Yeah. No.
Like what?
I think he is still last in the NHL in goals saved above expected. It's
Yeah, it's like
it's both.
92nd or
It's both.
something. It's it's very brutal. Both of our old backup boys are not doing very well.
No, it's not good at all.
I know Jacques Martin's had them playing well more recently.
Yeah, because he's obviously very staunch defensively in terms of his mentality as a coach. So that doesn't totally surprise me, but yeah, Sens, man, they got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they do. Going to a big Metro matchup between the Flyers and the Capitals. Ovi has been on a tear, and it's about time he started heating back up, huh? They're in trouble.
Fuck yeah. It's about damn time, man. I love seeing Ovi score because it brings us closer to what everybody I think kind of wants to see.
Every goal is historic at this point.
It is, and to be honest with you, if he didn't get off to the slow start that he did this season, we'd probably be seeing more talk about him inching closer and closer to that goal.
He should probably be taking more slap shots into the empty nets, huh?
Yeah.
And then Torts, man, as soon as we've said this before, Torts is a Philly coach.
Dude, he's like, you couldn't find a better fit.
No.
Not in terms of what that team needed, but just in terms of Philadelphia. It's so exhilarating to watch. I love the guy so much, and seeing him have success makes me happy.
This is a very fun Nick Abe-Kubel Bowl. Isn't it?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that took me a second. I was like,
money lines for that, hurry.
You really dug one out there, yeah.
That was right at the front of my brain for some reason. But the money line for that is a -122 for Philly and a +102 for Washington because, I mean, look at where Philly's at right now, dude.
Matt Niskanen Bowl.
A Niski Bowl, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, a Niski Bowl. That sounds like a dessert. I'm sure there's some chocolate in there.
Oh, yeah. And then we get a Scott Niedermayer Bowl to end things with the Devils visiting Anaheim.
Wow.
A little bit of a Henrique headache, if you will, huh?
Yeah, there's like weirdly a pretty decent amount of crossover between the Devils and the Ducks, ain't there?
Yeah, it's kind of fun with the history that these guys have had with each other. It's like kind of how we are with like Chicago at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Chicago, you know what I mean?
One of those teams that we have a lot of crossover with for sure.
Yeah, the Devils are favored, which is good for Neil.
Mm-hmm.
They're a -245 to a +200. Oof.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's kind of a wash either way, but
yeah, it's telling as to where both these teams are at this point in time, isn't it?
And if you want to get in on it yourself, all you got to do, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code THPN. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get 200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved.
You know what I realized like right before you just got into that spiel?
What?
Devils Ducks. It's a 2003 Stanley Cup Final rematch.
Yeah, it is! It's the Jiggy Ball!
Revenge game for the Ducks.
21 years
21
later.
years later. Will they exact their revenge?
Oh no, wait, that was the Senators. That was 2007. Yeah, I was thinking.
The Ducks beat the Sens in 2007, but
I was like, wait a minute.
Here's the thing: it was Devils versus the Mighty Ducks.
That's right. It was the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
That was J.S. Jagr won the Conn Smythe despite not winning the cup.
Despite winning, yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And we were like 5-7. we were little chitlins.
Yeah.
So Cappies, who are you going with?
I think it's a pretty obvious pick. The last two games he's been phenomenal. He stopped 38 of 40 in the first Rangers game, and even in the loss last night, stopped 26 of 28. Had the poke check on I think it was
Oh my God, that was we talked about that as like what a Hasek move, right?
Yeah, it was great. No, he's been phenomenal these last two games, so Elvis deserves a ton of credit for that. You know, they beat the Rangers 4-2, snapped their win streak. The Rangers beat them obviously in the following game, but I thought the game that they played at Madison Square Garden was actually a pretty good game for them. So, pretty pleased with what I saw in the last two games, but Elvis will take home the Kepi today.
I'm very pleased with how they played in Sundays, and I'm pretty pleased with how they played in yesterday's, especially because I got to see Sundays in person.
Yeah, did you want to get into that a little bit? Your seats looked nice. How was the atmosphere at the game?
I mean, they're always fun, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't go and do as much running around the concourse as I usually do. Because it was me and my dad and his date. So it was the three of us. It was actually her first hockey game, which was like, yeah, she had a good time. We had these seats. 118 is our section. We love Barry. Whenever he's working 118, he's our favorite usher.
Nice.
Because he does give big year for who?
Ushers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? All you gotta say is yeah.
Yeah.
What?
No job.
Okay. But yeah, the seats were great, you know, as they always are in 118. Like, we don't have season tickets because we're not in that kind of, you know, range of income. But if we could afford season tickets, they would be there. Like, decent middle.
Yeah, it's like a good view.
Double letters in the lower bowl.
Yeah.
You get to see everything pretty close, but you're also high enough to
favorite. Yeah, I like sitting towards the top of the lower bowl.
Right.
Or if you can like swing like the first row of the upper deck, I'll take that too. You know, because you get good views there. The spacing's pretty good as far as the seats are concerned too.
Yeah.
So like that's generally speaking when I watch hockey. Like when I'm watching a basketball game, like give me as close as possible, man. You know, because your views aren't obstructed really. You know, closer to the action, it's fun. Same with football, you want to be close, but hockey, the further you are away, the more you can see. It's actually kind of nicer.
It's funny because like with hockey, you can go like, you know, I'll use 118 as an example. Excuse me, I've had this. My mom gave me this like pumpkin rolled moonshine last week.
Are you drunk?
No, I'm good, but it's like it's pretty nice. I like it. But the seats are nice because they're high enough
Yeah.
to where you can see plays develop and you've got
Yeah.
enough of a bird's eye view of everything, but they're close enough where you can tell where and who guys are.
Yeah. The thing that drives me nuts sometimes when I go to games, like especially if you're in the corner, sometimes like the penalty box, if you're angled in a certain way, it like obstructs your view because it's
Mhm.
not it's like it's translucent, it's not transparent. So like it's you can kind of see through it, but it's not great.
Yeah.
So, you had to be careful about where you sit in the lower bowl. Where you're sat was a great spot to sit because it really is a nice view.
Yeah, we were sitting next to this couple and they were great folks and one of them was actually a fellow Falcon alum of mine. So
Oh,
we
nice.
got to talking about BG a little bit and how much we missed that.
Yeah.
Um and again, I'm sorry to people like Ash and Lance and Ellie and everybody that were there because I didn't do as much running around as I usually do. I just kind of
Yeah.
stayed with Dad and Megan.
Yeah.
But it was still a really fun time and it was awesome to get a win. As like the win helps.
Yeah, the view seems even better when you're viewing goals that are
And
your team.
yeah, and my guy that's getting my Kepi had the goal of the night according to the social media.
Yeah.
Dude, Marchenko's goal was
Yeah.
just gorgeous. Oh, the move that he used to cut right through the slot and get into the crease
Yeah.
was literal Marchenko magic.
I love it. Yeah.
Love to see it. And he had a couple of really good looks like that in MSG last night too.
Who was it? Was it Marchenko or was it Voronkov who had like 6 shots in the first period
On Sunday or yesterday?
on Sunday?
On Sunday,
I
that
think
was
it was Dima.
I think it yeah, because I know Vrani looked really good in terms of just crashing and getting his chances in. I
I,
know Chinny had plenty of looks as well.
yeah. I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The reason I would trade Boone Jenner is because you literally have a fucking carbon copy of that guy who might end up being better than him
And
in Dmitry Voronkov.
he's taller
He's
and
taller.
heavier.
He's going to continue to put on weight too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's already
He's not done in
240.
that regard.
Like how big is Boone? As much like obviously Boone
Boone's
Jenner's
what,
not
like 6'2"? Uh
he's like 210ish maybe.
6'2", 206.
206. Okay.
That's a good size, and he uses his body well. He throws his weight around properly, but there's just you can't make up for that size gap. I mean, he's a
Six
guy.
five and 240.
Yeah,
It's a 35-pound difference.
it is. It
That
is.
woo.
He's really good.
But yes, Marchenko's getting mine just because he has magical hands. This kid has just amazing, like he uses it to make plays. He uses it especially well for finishing.
Yeah, like it's funny because like it became a joke last season because he had so many goals and he just didn't have any
He only
assists.
had 4 assists, right?
Yeah, he is like a good playmaker. It just, it was kind of like the reverse Johnny, where like, he wasn't getting assists because, guys just weren't finishing, whereas Johnny
Mhm.
scoring goals because he's not shooting the puck a ton and he's not finishing a ton, but he's getting assists. Like,
But he is slinging it, right?
yeah, so like it was kind of funny, but no, like he is an underrated playmaker in my opinion because the stats would make you almost believe that he's not a playmaker. He's a goal scorer, and he is a goal scorer, but it is an underrated element of his game that I think is only going to continue to get better.
You have goal scoring all up and down that second line. You have plenty of goal scoring. Like you have two guys that have, you know, not only brilliant shots, but Marchie has the like weird Texier magic element to that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Chinny just has a bomb of a release.
Yeah, Chinny's got a bomb of a release. Marchenko's release, yeah, obviously he doesn't shoot the puck quite as hard, but he has a faster release.
Yeah.
It's lightning quick, and
And Dimitri's the perfect net front guy.
yeah, he is. And like again, like you talk about pieces that you can replace because of guys you already have on your team. Like if you're questioning what they should do with Line A, well, your answer is 86, in my opinion.
That's fair. Or, you know, 59's already there.
Yeah, like yeah, there's goals on this team, and
Yeah.
there's add goals too when you get Jordan Dumais in the lineup soon, and other guys as well. Like I just as bleak as these last two seasons have looked, it's still
Mhm.
hard not to at least have some optimism about some of the guys that I think we have guys on this roster who look good, but also we're still, I think we're third or fourth in terms of prospect pool rankings by
Mhm.
Scott Willard.
We're number 3 on the Athletic.
Yeah, yeah, that's there's still talent to come.
There's plenty to go around.
And
So,
just one last point on the topic of big Russians like Dmitry Voronkov, we're
mhm.
still probably 2 years away from getting Kirill Dolzhenkov over here.
Dolzhenkov,
He's even bigger.
yeah, because
He's even bigger.
isn't Dolzhenkov like
He's
6'6" or 7?
6'6". He's 6'6". He's probably like 245. Like so, yeah. Say what you want about how things wrapped up with the Jarmo Kekalainen era. His parting gifts, though,
He left us in a good spot.
the parting gifts in terms of the Russians, I think are going to be to great returns between the three guys we already have here and Voronkov, Marchenko, Chinikov, but also guys to come like Sergei Ivanov and
I'm
Kirill
very
Dolzhenko.
I'm
Well,
very excited for Sergey, honestly. Like what a
yeah, God, I
yeah,
mean, again, he's a guy like Kirill Dolzhenkov who's probably going to take a couple years to come over here, but they're going to be even more developed by the time they do.
right. Um so getting into the home and home with the Rangers, which this whole week I tweeted this entire week's schedule sucks.
Yeah.
Because we had Sunday at home and then
Yeah.
we waited until Wednesday for the game at MSG, and then we're back at home tonight recording this against the Hurricanes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's
Exactly.
just so much back and forth. And so, yeah, let me go over this. So tonight, and then Saturday is in Chicago, which, by the way, shout out to Jimmy again. He's going.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Jimmy's going to be there. Um, so in Chicago on the 2nd, come home 2 days later to play Vegas. The next day it's in Pittsburgh, and then 2 days later it's back home against Edmonton.
At least the travel's not insane in terms of the distances that they're going, but
But it's so much back and forth.
it's just the back and forth. Yeah, that's
It's exhausting.
I'm sure it's annoying and exhausting for the players, even if the distances aren't long, because it's still flights.
Yeah.
Um, wow.
It's brutal. So talking about this home and home, right? Obviously the game that I went to was the win of the two. And
Yeah.
it was great in person. Um it
Well,
was
I think there is one thing we have to talk about in that game.
the big thing
The
to
big,
address. The
the
big
big,
thing to
yeah.
address, right?
Dude.
The big 6'7" thing to address.
Yes. So since we're already talking about big 6'7" forwards, um, is it Rempe? Is it
It's
Rempe?
and I've heard both.
For both.
I've I've been saying Rampy
Yeah.
because I mean he's an
Like
Alberta
Rempe
kid.
sounds better.
Alberta kid.
Yeah. But then you got
So yeah,
Adrian Kempe, and that's only a one-letter difference.
Adrian Kempe, you're right.
So maybe it's Rempe.
Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is this guy's fucking huge. Good
Dude,
God.
can I just say I
A
called it?
genuine menace.
Can I just say I called it?
Yeah.
On the car ride to the arena, I was like, well, I know Rempe's gonna fight, and I want to say it's gonna be against Olivier.
Yeah. Part of me was wondering, depending on the circumstance, like my thought heading in would have been like, if it's just a fight, like, two guys just dropping gloves, like it would be Olivier. But if he had laid like a big hit that led to a fight, it would have been Gabranson.
Yeah, I had some money on. I didn't actually have money on any of this. I probably should have. Some DraftKings money on that, right?
Yeah.
I was expecting Goody at the MSG game just because Rempe, dude, he's a monster, and I love this kid.
Yeah, he's like precisely what the Rangers needed too. He really is.
I mean, hey,
It's a lot of energy for that team.
and so does Edstrom. Like we talked about this on the stream, and Edstrom looked really good too.
Yeah.
But Rempe in particular, dude, that fight was barely even 3 minutes in.
Yeah, let me tell you that like he's a tough customer. He's good at what he does, but man, like
That was a 4-inch difference between combatants.
yeah, dude, Olivier held his own. And he didn't hold his own. He kind of kicked his ass, but
Yeah, he did.
he's experienced at this, and he's been really good at that element of the game for a long time. So, Rempe is only going to get better at that specific element.
And let's be frank, I know Matthew looks older. And I mean, he is older than Rempe himself.
He's still what?
He's only 25.
He's only 25.
25.
Interesting. Wow. Because he's even younger than I thought.
And Rempe doesn't even turn 22 for like another few weeks.
Yeah. You can't say enough about what that age difference in terms of experience doing that specifically is.
But let's talk about the legend that he's had for a second, right? So his debut is outside.
Yep, outdoors. You get to do the rookie lap by yourself in front of fucking 80,000 people.
Yeah. MetLife Stadium, and his first shift.
House that Aaron Rodgers built.
He's chatting. He's chatting it up with Matt Martin down there.
Look at the guys he's fighting too. Like, forget about Matthew Olivier for a second. Like, his first game, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fight Matt Martin.
First shift.
Yeah.
Ever in the NHL. And he's talking to Matt, and Martin's like, hey, yeah, you want to do this? And he was like, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Up until, like before yesterday, when it came into going into Sunday, 5 games in the NHL and 4 fights.
Yeah.
The kid loves confetti gloves.
But you think about it, so Matt Rempe, or whatever, Matt R, fights Matt Martin. And Matthew, a lot of Matts going on in this episode.
A lot of Matthews, eh?
A lot of Matthews, eh?
It's weird that he hasn't played Florida yet, has he?
I don't believe so.
Because for sure it's going to be Rempe and Tkachuk.
Yeah, it's going to be after he lightly hits Nick Cousins, and Nick Cousins.
And then Cousins gets right back up after 2 seconds and then attacks Edstrom.
Like Ryan Langford in the face.
God, we missed a lot of stuff, haven't we?
We've missed a lot. Yeah. Whose fault is that?
I don't know. But yeah, the home game was great.
I wonder who that's for.
Do any of these fuckers know how to keep a consistent schedule?
God, no. Any of these. motherfuckers ever play dead on the ice and then get up 2 seconds later to cross-check somebody.
Speaking of cross checks, all right.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, we'll talk about that in 2 seconds. But yes, the home game was fantastic. Marchenko's goal was magical. That was also Alex Nylander's debut.
Yeah.
And I thought Alex looked good. Like he did his third line job.
The reality of Alex Nylander is I am fully expecting him just to be Emil Bemstrom.
Well, it's funny because Emil scored in his Penguins debut already.
Which means we are only 5 goals away from a
From a
round.
third round pick? Like, how does that work?
Give it to me, man.
Go from a sixth to a third? How?
Yeah, I'll take it. You know.
I mean, if he's playing with Sid. Which
Dude,
I believe he did.
Yeah, well, fuck it. Why not, man?
Anyway,
Imagine
yeah.
having that luxury of being like, yeah, we got to get this guy going. Let's just put him on Sid's line for like 2 periods. He'll score a goal and get back and going.
Oh man, yeah, but Alex looked fine. He was winning battles and digging for pucks, and he had a couple decent looks in front of the net.
Yeah.
Johnny was Johnny, getting some extra dad strength with Johnny Jr.
Yeah. Thankful he didn't get hurt the other night.
Yeah. Provorov, his goal was really, really solid.
Might be his last.
Could be his last in the Blue Jackets uniform. You're right.
Very short era.
Yeah. But it was overall really fun and
Jeff Carter era for Ivan Provorov with the
oof. Oof.
We should trade him to LA at the deadline.
Right. Right. But yeah, everybody looked great. My dad's favorite, he's a big Cole guy. And Silly was doing like way more of his dad's job than he's ever done so far in his career. He was rushing guys into the end boards. He was digging for pucks in corners. He had a couple decent chances, but like, dude, he was hitting guys.
Yeah. But he's another guy, like you think about like how young he came into the National Hockey League. Like that's a guy who's not just still developing as a player, he's developing as a person. Like he's still he's gonna continue to put on weight. He's still developing like physically. He's
right.
Yeah, these last few months have been so encouraging with Cole Cylinder, who for a little bit we were starting to get concerns about. And honestly, I could genuinely say that those concerns have evaporated.
And on the other side of things, like we already, I said this on the stream that putting a Panarin goal in there is like the free space in the bingo.
God, yeah.
And he did it.
It's the free space in a parlay.
Yeah. I didn't know what to expect coming out of the loss against Buffalo, to be honest with you. I was like, what are we going to get? We took, 2 out of 3 in Cali, and then you go home and you lose to the Sabres. Like, ew.
I didn't hate their game against the Sabres either.
And Rosie looked really good too. Him potting something and having a couple of really good looks on the top line.
Maybe we'll get a little bit better of a draft pick out of that now.
And again, like you mentioned when we talked about the Russians in general, Dmitry. Oh my God, Dmitry.
Yeah.
He was a dog out there. It was just like, whoa. He was using everything when it came to his size and pushing guys around and making sure he was getting his spaces open and everything,
Yeah.
And Johnny's been slinging. Like, it's good to see Johnny getting back into
It's
being
good to
Johnny.
see him start to look a little bit more like himself for sure. These 2 seasons have been so disastrous. It's just it's kind of like a just get through this fucking season, and hopefully year 3 you get a new coach, you get a new GM,
And you
it
unlock Johnny Gaudreau.
hit the reset button, and you change the identity and the direction of the team. Hopefully, that will fully unlock the flashes that we've seen from him.
Mhm. Exactly. I'll do like looking at the box score that the Kirill goal was a full Russian effort from the
Yeah.
3 kids
Hmm.
because the assists were to Dmitry and Yegor.
Yeah.
Marchenko getting an assist on the Dima goal. Sivo getting his passes in. That was a really fun one. And then going into Sunday or going into yesterday, why am I still I don't know. I was there. That's why.
Yeah.
I'm like so ingrained into Sunday from just being there. Because doing the watch along, as much as I loved doing the watch along, and shout outs to Neil as well, because he paid us a little visit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was cool. He was going in before recording and he was like, yeah, thought I'd say hi. Shout outs to our buddy Little Ed from the Rangers Ed podcast. That's a buddy of Jimmy's, and he was our guest at second intermission.
Oh, nice.
And for the second period, it was great. Really cool dude. But yeah, knowing that yesterday didn't go our way, I still thought they looked really good.
Yeah. It's probably one of the best losses they've had all year.
For a game on the road, they controlled way more.
Yeah. They look like a team that was at least, pushing forward. The ice didn't feel at all tilted in that game, but obviously Igor Shesterkin's unbelievable goaltender.
I mean, he's no Jonathan Quick. He's no Columbus legend undefeated Jonathan Quick.
Yeah, he stepped 30 of 31. He was really, really good. So
Igor
and what do you
Shesterkin
do?
is
You face the Rangers 2 times in a row. You take one of 2. You look good in the one that you lose. I can't complain about those 2 games at all.
Cole's goal was really, really nice.
Mhm.
For what it's worth. Coming from Cole, that was only
Yeah, the consolation prize.
a little consolation prize. And I will say that Bread's empty netter, dude,
What was he doing?
he was
Everyone knows you need to go up and wind up a clap bomb on an empty net.
Nah, man, he was watching Vesa Toskala tape before the game. But yeah, it was cool. And I got like at the home game, I got a warm-up pic of our guys coming out, and then I got some pictures for Cat of some of the Rangers, so that was good.
Nice.
It was a fun time. But yeah, that's the Rangers home and home. We are currently down 2-0 after 1 to the Hurricanes and old friend Spencer Martin.
We're halfway through the second period.
Are we halfway through already?
Yeah, Teravainen and Aho both unassisted.
We only have 9 shots thus far.
Nice.
Better than most times. Right?
Yep.
Because I know they turned on the gas in the third period and outshot the Rangers yesterday, like what, 16-2 or something, like 2/3 of the way through that.
Yeah.
I was like, where's this effort every other third period that you have, guys?
You don't get those every third period, Jake. Come on. Are you new to the program?
I mean, remember, that's only if we have the lead.
Yeah.
So going into more trade deadline stuff and some moves that have been made over the past few days, including last night. Let's, the details of us trading Emil
Yeah.
are what they are. We get Alex Nylander. and a 6th rounder.
Yeah, it basically what that trade is the Penguins signed Alex Nylander, hoping that the raw talent that he has, that made I think the 8th overall pick,
He
that
was
maybe
8th, yes.
maybe they can bring out the skill set that has been very apparent in the American Hockey League when he plays.
Mm-hmm.
It just hasn't really shown up to the NHL level. It didn't work out with Alex Nylander. They're trying the same thing now, essentially, with Emil Bemstrom. So they trade a 6th round pick, and basically what this trade is we're getting rid of someone who didn't really work here. All we're trading is a 6th.
Right.
If it works, if Bemstrom unlocks, we have no problem giving up a 3rd.
Right. And that's the funny thing that I did want to say is this is very small when it comes to deals that Kyle Dubas normally makes with the Blue Jackets. Because let's be fair,
Oh
some
yeah,
of the stuff that Kyle's done in the past with us
yeah.
hasn't really worked out for him, has it?
No, it is a very interesting trade, just in the sense like, do you know in baseball what a quadruple A player is?
Quadruple A? No.
It's a term that is used to describe a player who is too good for triple A, but just can't put it together at the major league level.
Ooh.
And
Mm.
that very much feels like that is the case for both Emil Bemstrom and Alex Nylander.
Let's not disrespect the Colorado Rockies' entire roster too much. And
Yeah, dude, I saw the other day that Bud Black is still their manager. In year 8. I was like, how on earth is he still there? That's enough Rockies talk today. I didn't expect to talk about the Colorado Rockies at all, but I
at least
saw
they have the
it
Avalanche.
out loud when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, yeah, true. At least they have the Avs. But anyway, yeah, I I couldn't. It just feels like both those guys are quadruple A players, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird because, Bemstrom did have 200 games of service with us,
Yeah,
which is good amount of service.
yeah, that's not nothing. I mean, appearances should matter, but
And
you know what?
Alex,
Do you know what you call a quadruple A player in hockey?
oh God, what?
A KHLer.
Oh, hey, that actually, I don't,
You're ready to
well,
learn Russian, buddy.
wow, we're pulling in like all the
All the
sports.
means, yeah.
We're
Yeah.
pulling in all of the sports, huh?
Yeah.
Thank God Manfred's. God, that's 5 years too late, even then,
Yeah.
when he's going to be gone. But yeah, I am kind of going to miss Bemmer because, like, he was a really decent defensive forward that just couldn't put the offense together.
Yeah. It's the effort was always there, and I just felt bad because you can see, especially when he played in the A, the
Mhm.
production there, the talent is there. He put in the work defensively.
Right. In the NHL and the
And he
AHL, there's
just,
such a huge,
oh,
weird gap.
yeah, he just couldn't put it together offensively, and it just sucked because I never questioned his drive or anything like that.
Right.
The production just wasn't there.
And it didn't matter whether they tried him on the top line, on the third
They
line.
tried him in so many places. So many places.
Hell,
And,
you could have.
and he mildly worked in most of those places where you could see the energy and the effort, and maybe he would get a goal here or there and have a good game, but then it never materialized into something more than that.
You could have thrown him on a third defensive pair with Jake Bean, and it probably couldn't have worked.
You could have put him out there with number one defenseman Erica
They're good
Brandt.
Branson. As soon as you said number one, I was like, "Yep, this is where he's going."
Yep. Yeah, so I'm not.
Ugh.
I wish him the best of luck,
Yeah,
but I'm not too torn up about it. It felt kind of necessary, and
yeah.
I'm certain because we don't want to go too long about this trade.
About this particular deal.
Yeah. Well, just in terms of time, we won't want to go too much further on some of these other things. But
So, I mean, we did break over the stream. We broke the tip. We got a live reaction to the Tanev trade, which was cool.
Tanev trade is a very interesting one. I love the deal for Dallas. Obviously,
Oh no, he's gonna wear number 3. That's a pretty cursed move. That's a cursed move.
why
Uh, who was the last Dallas star to wear number 3?
Klingberg?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What happened?
Klingberg was good.
Okay, he was a good star, but like, look at what
Yeah.
happened afterwards.
Yeah. Also, the issues that plague John Klingberg have never are kind of the whole strength of Chris Tanev's game. So, I
Right.
love the deal for Dallas. I think Tanev's a really good fit there. One of the best teams in the National Hockey League gets even better. I do like the return for Calgary as well.
So here's the funny thing, right?
I'm curious about the Devils.
That's what I was just about to bring up, because like when it broke for us, it was just okay, it's Calgary and Dallas.
And
Right?
then,
And then
not surprised to hear that a third team came in for.
later that night, it was just like, okay, maybe. So the full trade details are this, right? Dallas gets Chris,
Mhm.
and I believe he's a center prospect, or maybe a goalie prospect, Cole Brady.
Mhm.
One of those. Um, the Flames get Artem Grushnikov, which was the big prospect that
He's the
was
second round pick, right?
he was the yeah, I want to say he was the second rounder. And I mean, like, people were asking for a first rounder for Tanev, and like getting a guy like this is fine.
No, he's a good. I like him. He's a good prospect.
Yeah. They get a 2024 second rounder, as
Mhm.
well as a 2026 conditional third, and I still don't know what the conditions are on that third.
The conditions are Emil Bemstrom scores 6 goals.
No, the conditions are Alex Nylander scores 5 goals. I have no idea what those conditions
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
But then Jersey gets the Stars fourth rounder in 26 and 50% retained on the rest of Tanev's contract this year.
Yeah.
So they were basically a salary broker.
Yeah, which we see it's frequent in the National Hockey League. At least over the last few years, it's become very common for teams to do that.
Yeah.
Usually, the teams that do it are sellers.
Usually they're sellers that, have plenty of cap space that they can take on.
And part of the reason that they have cap space is because they're shedding cap space because they're also selling players. It's not often that you see a salary broker be a team that is kind of in the playoff picture right now. Like, and they're not in a playoff spot, but they're sitting
They're
outside.
sniffing in there, yeah.
They're right there. They won 52 games last year. They're a team that could absolutely go on a run. They have the talent. They coaching hasn't been great this year for them. Goaltending's been awful.
Yeah,
But they're
they're looking
still
at
so talented that they're like right there.
Yeah, exactly. They're looking at selling off a guy like Vitek Vanacek who hasn't worked. I know
The
Neil's new episode is called Make or Break Time.
Yeah.
And I know Alex has very similar concerns.
The interesting one is Toffoli.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
Because you have to make a decision. It's not just do we keep him or do we trade him? Like, well, if you keep him, you have to extend him.
Right.
So
But they're also missing, bigger players like a Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah, they did. They definitely missed Hamilton. Jonas Siegenthaler has fallen off a cliff this season. He's not been good.
John Marino doesn't really look like himself.
We're not going to mention the name, but they did lose a particular player who's really good at faceoffs and helped in the bottom six.
Yes.
Yeah, like a lot has gone wrong for the Devils this season. There's just no doubt about that. But even that,
this is way more. This is nothing to do with the Devils, really, because they're just kind of there to facilitate this trade to move.
Yeah, I just thought that the fact that it was the Devils was interesting. If it was the Senators or some other, if it was us, that's one thing. But
tell me about these Pettersson concerns you have.
I don't really have concerns. I think he's going to stay.
You think so? I hope he does, because I know that we had weird conflicting reports. One from a guy that we don't really trust at all anymore. Frank, Mr. Serengeti.
I have no issues with Frank. That's you. That's a you problem. I have no issues with
Frank. Here's the thing, right? Because I trust
Frank spaghetti and meatballs is fine in my.
I like the content that Daily Faceoff puts out, and I think it's for the most part pretty reputable.
Yeah,
coming from them as a whole, but it's just there's that weird sour taste in my mouth that I have about Frank.
Why? Because he's so young and he looks way older than what he actually is.
Well, I guess there's that, but
no Pascal Vincent.
He is no Pascal Vincent. I think part of that does still weirdly linger from him being butthurt over not being the first guy to break a trade over Twitter.
I don't remember that.
It was some.
I believe you. I just don't remember it.
It was some decent trade, and he got really weirdly pissy, like Leon.
Why are you so pissy? I hate you. Dude, that's where I was gonna go.
Why are you so pissy there, Frank? But yeah, I think I did get a tweet later today from Rick Dollywall that said that because Frank had said that a deal was really, really close to being done.
Yes.
Apparently,
what I just read was that they were talking potential trades. I saw someone respond. I have nothing against Carolina, the state of North Carolina or South Carolina. They're both beautiful Carolinas. But I did see someone say they really threatened to trade him to Carolina, and he said, "Okay, maybe I'll sign an extension."
Jeez. I mean, let's be fair here, and sorry, Tim and Eos and all of them, because we do love our Carolina buddies.
I have no issue.
Zach and Kat and everybody.
Nice place, but and not to compare two places, but Vancouver is a beautiful place to live.
Raleigh is fine.
Nothing wrong with Raleigh at all. And it's a great sports town, especially when it comes to Hurricanes, but and we're not necessarily comparing the two franchises. I just think Elias Pettersson, stay with the Canucks, man. You're killing it there.
Dude, you already your main reasoning is that you want to be with a winner. Dude, you're winning right now.
Dude, you're winning.
You have a very good chance to actually, as long as the playoffs shape out well and you show up like you always do.
Dude,
you can do the thing right now.
You're playing unbelievable right now. You're getting good coaching from Rick Tocchet.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Besser is the best he's looked in years.
Out of his mind right now.
You've got an unbelievable goaltender in Thatcher Demko.
Brilliant captain in Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
JT Miller's actually back checking for once in his life.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that we immediately at the same time went to JT Miller, just pivoting just in the same direction. And you went out this
you got Elias Lindholm already.
Yeah,
God.
Obviously, I wasn't a huge fan of that trade, but the fact that they made the trade shows you what they think, and we're pushing here.
We're loading up
to the center of the table because we believe in this group. There's a lot to be excited about if you're a Canucks fan, and if I was Elias Pettersson, honestly, the deal would already be signed.
Plus, think about the cap stuff that's gonna, happen with actually growing cap space over
Yeah.
the next few seasons, right? You can cash in on like, say, I don't know, a 12 million average for like go the Auston Matthews route and sign a 4-year deal for like 12.
I was thinking somewhere like 11.25, but yeah, even if it's 12, let's go with 12. Like if you were to do the 3 or 4 year deal,
Then
that also, if you're shaving a little bit of money off,
when you're
if
29, you can cash in even bigger for your last big deal.
and it doesn't have to be with the Canucks if your heart does not desire. You can go anywhere, which also gives you more leverage. If you decide to stay with the Canucks, you can get more money. And what does it do right now if you're not taking as much money? Well, that's money that can go to Elias Lindholm.
Mm-hmm.
So I love where the Canucks are at right now, and I would love it if he stayed with the Canucks because I think he's a freaking phenomenal fit there. And
That former
such
Penguins tandem,
unbelievable talent.
that former Penguins tandem in the front office is actually still continuing to cook like they did.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Going to other trade deadline concerns and headlines. Starting with our boys, starting with CBJ Center's couple of tweets here, right? We're taking calls on Ivan.
Yeah, as they should.
Lists that both Tampa and Edmonton already have interest.
Yeah, and it's possible that they'll retain some salary to get maximum return back, which isn't the worst idea because you're only retaining salary for the rest of this season, and then you're just taking it on for one more season after that.
Right. And then in addition to Provorov, the article that they shared from Pagnata's site, fourth period, also lists Sean Corrali, which please no. For like
I like Sean a lot. It's one of those ones
that's a tough one to swallow if you
it's
lose him.
what's the return?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
'Cause,
a
like I don't know, Jake. Like I love Sean Corrali, but the Tampa Bay Lightning traded a first round pick for Barkley Goodrow.
right. They
If
traded a whole draft class for Tanner Jeannot. We've been through this.
if a team's coming to you with a good trade for Sean Corrali, I think you got to do it. Like I like the guy a lot, and I think he's been a really good Blue Jacket, but he's not an insanely important piece for a team that's not very good.
Right. And you can find ways to fill holes with that.
He's got a hell of a lot more value on a good team than he does a bad team.
Andrew Peak, another name.
That's
Because I mean, like that's a name we've been talking about.
anything you can trade him for a draft pick that will become a third round pick if Emil Bemstrom.
Bean being another one.
Yeah, that also feels like maybe you'll get a draft pick.
Maybe. Elvis is still somehow swirling in there.
That feels if we do
That
ever
feels
if we do
icky.
ever trade Elvis, that's going to be an off-season move. And part of me almost wonders with the firing of Jarmo Kekalainen if we ride it out the rest of the season with Elvis, if he may have interest in just staying.
Right. And that, like, again, being a deadline move, that just kind of feels icky to me, even after everything that happened with the friction that's going on.
Yeah, it's very, very awkward.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I can't imagine that JD is too keen on trading him.
Yeah, I can't see that either. And Jack.
Especially since his quote, if you remember, basically tried to suggest that there was no friction.
Right, exactly. And then Jack, Rosie rounds out the list for us in terms of trade interest.
They'll likely have to retain some salary on that deal to make that happen.
How much is he making? He's only making like 4, right?
4 is not easy to get under the cap.
Right. I mean, neither is 5.4.
4 is not easy just to plug into a lot of these teams. So,
especially when, God, how many of them are well above the cap? Like 5, 6, at least.
Yeah.
Like,
Speaking of teams above the cap, a lot of people were, making their conspiracy about Mark Stone. Oh, he's going to come back from the playoffs because he went on IR. No, he's done for the season. So that's a little piece of news.
Well, here's the weird thing is he's just on regular injured reserve. He's not even on LTIR. So they're not even getting the relief that you normally would get.
Yeah, because I think they got other guys on LTIR right now, and that's why.
Yeah, probably.
I think it's because they have Eichel on LTIR, and Eichel's cap hit is higher.
I mean, Eichel's about to get activated either way because he's taking full practices now.
I'm wondering if they move Stone to LTIR after that.
It wouldn't be the first time, wouldn't be the last time.
We'll see. Yeah, but yeah, I hope that Mark Stone heals up because dude, that guy's unbelievable to watch. He was so great to watch live when I was in Vegas.
Oh, I'm sure. What are other names out there? I know like there's Hurdle possibly, right?
Really? Wow.
Could be. I don't know because like
Yeah,
when it could
because again, I like him, but because of his term, that becomes a deal that's probably easier to make in the off season.
right. It's weird though because like I'm
It's the
trying.
goalie market that's most interesting right now. You got Markstrom, whose name is out there.
Right. And Calgary has recently come out in weird places saying that they're more than likely not gonna move him.
And part of me thinks that might be a leverage. Like, oh, we're not going to move him. You got up your offer. But you say Saros in Nashville.
Right. The goalie market is actually pretty interesting to look at. Because after the Tanev deal got done, I was looking at skaters and I was like, wait, who else could there be? I don't know anymore.
Yeah, you want to know, in my opinion, why the Nashville Predators should absolutely trade Yusei Saros?
I mean, do we know how ready ASCII is?
Well, he's got a 920 with a 211 goals against average in the American Hockey League right now.
What, a 920?
Yeah.
But didn't we just talk about how different the AHL is versus the NHL?
Yes, there's a gap, obviously, but I think, I think his numbers more than
more
more
than
than show
tell
like
the
how
story,
good
right?
he is. Like his development has been so impressive over these last couple of years. And like right now they're on a heat or two. Like I want like the last time I saw a tweet like not that long ago that they
Oh,
were
the
on like
Milwaukee Heater? Yeah. Oh.
yeah. Milwaukee's unbelievable right now and he's a big part of it. And he has played a couple games. He played well in those games. And at the end of the day, even if he's not necessarily ready, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
It's funny because like we usually talk deadline from like a seller's perspective because I mean look at where we are.
Cole's got the goals.
It's weird trying to think of like what would the buyers be interested in, right? Like look at the Rangers. What
Oh,
else could they need?
I have the answer for you. Based on everything I've seen on Twitter. Teams, and this happens every year, Jake.
Yeah.
Teams love, and I mean they fucking love big right-hand shot defenseman.
And yeah.
Matt Dumba might get a first-round pick.
You're not wrong.
Matt
Dumba, yeah.
Had to sign a 1-year deal this offseason, was struggling to have a market, has played on the Coyotes, hasn't been that great, and he still might fetch them a first-round pick.
I mean, there's Jersey.
Why, Jake?
There's Jersey, too.
Jersey's legitimately good, though.
Yeah, but like Jersey will get you a first-rounder.
Jersey, yeah.
Now, I will say it's very funny talking about like certain aspects of these trades. Like we talked about how like, oh, Tanev should have absolutely gotten a first rounder. And well, there's
Yeah,
second rounders
he
involved.
got more than a first rounder though because he considered the value of the prospect and the other picks. Like,
Right, but still, like, like getting a second still isn't bad. But like when you talk about guys like, I don't know, Nick Dowd
but,
probably
but
getting a first round pick, like what?
it gets into this is where Julian Breezeblatt is
This is
brilliant.
the Breezeblatt
This
argument,
is
right?
the trickle down effect of what Breezeblatt has done
With Barclay
because
Goodrow
he
and
traded a
everybody.
first round pick for Barclay Goodrow, and we were like, "What a fucking idiot! A first round pick for Barclay Goodrow," and they won back to back Stanley Cups.
Right.
He was important, and he traded a haul for Blake Coleman too. And I love Blake Coleman, and but
Yeah.
at the time it was like what it was Nolan Foote, a first round pick, and several other pieces, and it
A
was like
second, fourth, fifth, and sixth.
all those picks for Tanner Jeannot, like oh my god,
It's like 5 different picks for
dude. And think about the haul that he gave up for Brandon Hagel. Now, obviously, Brandon Hagel has continued to
Hagel's
develop.
worth it. Hagel's absolutely worth that.
But even then, like at the time, it was still considered like, oh, this is a gamble.
Yeah, and the Paul one was pretty pretty
Paul,
gambly. Yeah.
This is like and you look at the Avs when they won, they traded what a first and a fourth, I want to say, to get Josh Manson, who did not have great numbers with the Ducks that season, and they
Right.
went and they won a Stanley Cup with him. There are teams out there, particularly the Lightning and the Avalanche are
Right.
big.
When you still feel like you have your window open, which that's kind of iffy for Tampa for me this year. When you know that window's still open though, like who cares about your first rounder? Like go win it.
I agree, and that's kind of what I think the Penguins should do at this point. Like, a rebuild, that life after
Well,
Crosby and Malkin is going to be awful.
yeah, it's going to be weird with that's why Kyle's got such a long deal, right? It's finish these careers up and get the next era started.
I don't think that's going to work. And that's nothing against Kyle. It's just, I think we've seen historically, and I'll wrap this point up as quickly as I can. It is virtually fucking impossible to have an older core and try to build in the present and the future at the same time. You can't do it. You have to go all in on your old guys, try and maximize their window, and then when it's done, you have to just kind of accept the fact that it's going to be a 4 to 5 year process rebuilding it.
Right.
Look at Detroit. Now they didn't do it with the same GM, but look at
what happened.
Yzerplan. He had to strip that thing down, bare bones operation.
Right.
It has taken them forever to get back to where they are, and they're good this year, and they're fun, and they're on a hot streak right now. But they're still only probably going to be a wild card team. And
Ken Holland is still somehow ass backwardsing his way into the success that he has with. What was that tweet from earlier from the quote tweet about the Blues?
Oh, yeah.
Can we say this? Like, obviously, we're late enough in the show. I believe we could say this. Right?
Yes, you could say it. It's
fun. Let me try to find. Oh yeah, let me find this here. Oh yeah. So this is in reference. This is a quote tweet towards the Blues that were tweeting out a save by Jordan Binnington, right?
Yeah, they were like, "Well, you have McDavid and Draisaitl. Well, we have Binnington," and it's.
And the quote tweet says, "You have $1 billion in a yacht, but we have syphilis."
That was so fucking funny. I was dying at work when I saw that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I will say, like, 3 more guys that I am kind of interested in to see if something could pop up at any point. I don't know, because Pavel Buchnevich has been really good, as he should be.
Yeah. Buchnevich is unbelievable.
Buchnevich is unbelievable. I don't know where. Oh yeah, Tarasenko.
Yeah.
Going back to New York, maybe.
Let's see.
We'll see. And you know, a team that originally wanted to get this guy, but is staring down the barrel of, especially tonight, um, what could be a nice little renewal of original six Bad Blood in Patrick Kane, 88.
Yeah.
So that gets us into our next thing, which is the Windy City return of
And
Patty
here's
Kane.
the thing, because it's not even just his return.
Mhm.
That was Chris Chelios night.
That was Chelios night. You're right.
And yeah, I would say Gretzky was there. A whole bunch of guys were there. Like,
Eddie Vedder was there, bro. Like, what?
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. They got the stars coming out for that. And it's, say what you want about Patrick Kane.
I didn't even know that Vedder was buddies with Chelios, and that was just
Right,
like,
yeah.
are you kidding me?
That's impressive.
That's awesome.
Yeah, say what you want about Patrick Kane, the guy, and these last couple of years, he's
Such a legendary hockey player.
he's always been Showtime.
Yes, exactly.
That was like the number one Showtime moment that obviously Will Compton has made the jokes these last few months about the NFL being scripted.
Right. That was
Could not
total script work.
script a better end to that game than Patrick Kane on a breakaway, scoring a goal, showing off his hands, and just in front of that crowd. And it was really cool for the United Center.
Because
Like,
wasn't that the first time he actually did come back to the United Center? He didn't even play. Did he
I
play
believe
in the
so.
United Center as a Ranger?
I don't believe he did. No, I don't
Huh.
believe he did. So, yeah, you get the return. He scores the goal, but just shout out. Obviously, it helps that the Blackhawks are one of the worst teams in the league, so like they're not playing for much right now. But the fact that so many fans in that building were like kind of given like the tip of the cap, not like a huge cheer, but like the golf clap, respect to a
I
club.
mean, think about what he did for the team in his tenure there, right?
Yeah,
He did.
he kind of won 3 cups, which is okay.
It's okay. He set some
He kind of
franchise
scored the most
records.
iconic goal in franchise history.
He kind of scored some franchise records,
Yeah.
which is kind of eh.
Yeah, he only did it as the first overall pick and the guy who was supposed to save the franchise.
He had some fun gifable moments like the ear thing, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of the other guy on the other end of the ear thing,
Mhm.
which I will wrap up the Patty Kane talk with, I do think he's gonna contribute way more still, as long as the Wings do make it.
Well, you know what helps, I think? Familiarity. And I think after his failed stint with the Rangers, going to the Red Wings was the best place he could have gone to. Playing with Alex DeBrincat, I think, has
Yeah.
really brought some juice back to him.
Let's be fair, like he had chemistry with Panarin as a Ranger for a little bit, but it didn't work. It didn't
yeah.
work to this degree.
Well, Panarin didn't have a very good playoff.
Right.
He didn't have a very good playoff. The Rangers were very flat. I'm almost curious how he would have looked had he stayed and been a part of this Peter Laviolette Rangers, because
Yeah.
kind of at the end of the run with Gallant. I think maybe that could have had a big impact on it.
I think you could say the same with Vlad, with Tarasenko.
Yeah.
Right? Like how different would that look under Peter Laviolette, right?
Right. Definitely. Definitely.
And I do know that there's weird rumblings still about Kako maybe moving, and I don't know.
Highly would
I don't see that happening, but if you can get a decent return for Kako, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just magic being on Chelios night.
Yeah.
For Patty Kane, right? And
Patrick Kane is 88, and just to let you know, I am on 8%. So
fair enough. Okay,
it's
let's make this pretty fast.
because we're
Again,
just talking about legends here. We're talking about Patrick Kane, and now we're going to move on to another current legend who is also American.
Auston Matthews is on horrid pace.
The most impressive thing, in my opinion, about Auston Matthews and watching him play is the fact that he has had wrist surgeries.
Twice.
That is, how do you get 2 wrist surgeries and your
And get
wrist
better? Yeah. How do you get better? That's so weird.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like,
He's-
because we talked earlier in the show about Ovi and potentially breaking the goal record. It's amazing that he might do that. I think he will do that.
yeah.
A guy who played, who came in obviously in the latter part of his era, but has played a good chunk of time with him in terms of years in the National Hockey League. Auston Matthews, I think, could potentially, as long as he stays healthy, be on a pace himself
To break the record, right?
to break whatever new record is set.
Very funny thing as I'm looking to do this math is they're up 3-1 on the Coyotes right now, and the lone Coyotes goal is Alex Kerfoot, because of course it is.
Yeah, that's so predictable.
Let's see, 52 divided by 57 equals this, and you multiply that by 82 games. That is a 75 rounded goal pace.
We haven't seen anybody score 70 in a while.
No.
God.
That's unreal. The last time, like, it's been, only a few years since we've seen, it's been like a year since we've seen 2 60 goal scorers, but like, when's the last time 70 happened?
I want to say it was like 30 years ago.
Probably Mario, right?
Why do I think it was Teemu?
Oh, that's right. 76 in Teemu Solana's rookie year. You're right.
I think it may have been him, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd have to look it up, but
that was early mid 90s. Like, whew. We haven't seen it since. This is really special what Austin's doing.
okay, I was not terribly far off. Oh, actually, I was partially correct.
Partially.
2 scored 70 goals that season that Solani did. So it was Solani and Alex McGillney,
Guy
who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Who should be in the yes. We're gonna hammer that point every single chance we can get.
That's fucking nuts. The 2 players
Scored 70 plus goals.
They both scored 76.
76. That's amazing.
Oh my god.
All right. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what Austin ends the year with. Whether that's, breaking 60 again, or if he does get towards 70 and beyond.
Yeah, real quick before we move on. So you guessed Mario.
Mhm.
Mario's last 70 goal season was 85 in 1988-89, but after that Brett Hull did it 3 years in a row.
Oh my god.
70.
Woo!
Yeah.
Golden Brett, like, oh my god.
And
I wish we could have been around to see some of that, huh?
And then I'm looking here, and Wayne in 81-82 had 92 goals.
I remember that. Like, I remember looking at that in terms of stat sheets, and it's just like, dude.
That is so dumb.
Because didn't he have like 135 assists to go with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was his 212-point year, right?
Yeah.
Or what, something like that, 208. The fact that he had multiple 200-point seasons is just...
It's the dumbest stuff.
It's disgusting. We're going to go away from current legends that we are witnessing to end the show, and we're going to go to a guy that we did get to witness, but not in this context.
Yeah.
Friendly rivals that you got to see in Vegas celebrated a Jaromir Jagr retirement night.
Yeah.
Which is
Dude.
very funny because even at 52, he's still playing professional hockey.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, dude. What a legend. I can't even like. It's so funny that like I remember first getting into hockey in like 2011
Yeah.
and being excited about like, oh man, Jagr's coming back. That's so cool. And then he goes to the Flyers, and I was like, wow. And the right at the end of his career, he goes to a rival of the Penguins. That's so crazy. And then he just kept fucking playing. And here I am. I first became a hockey fan. He makes his return, and he's 52 years old. I've already graduated college now, and he's still playing. He's still playing.
It's funny because you watch him in the warm-ups for that, and it looks like he could honestly, because Gensel was hurt, it looks like you could just throw Jagr up there with Sid and play a regular shift, and he'd be fine.
Yeah. Just hope you play him like 7, 8, 9 minutes, and he can hang his own.
Load up a power play unit with Jagr, Crosby, Malkin, friggin'
Hang.
Which, by the way, I loved the story with Chris Letang saying, I wore 68 through my whole junior career because of you.
Damn.
And everybody wearing mullets during warm-ups. And
yeah, that was like the nice cherry on top, wasn't it?
That was so great. Jagr did so many good things for the Penguins. He did so many good things for the NHL as a whole. Like, I got into Jagr when he was a Devil. That tells you anything.
I'll remember him as a Flame.
No, I will say he played extremely well with Florida when he went there, when he was like 45, 47.
Yeah. He had a stint in Dallas. He had a stint in Boston.
Brilliant New York.
Yeah. He had that I think it was a quick stint with the Capitals.
That very ugly trade from Pittsburgh to Washington that did not work out well for him at all.
No, yeah.
And that was like the one blip, right?
Yeah. And what was otherwise an unbelievable career. But yeah, what a night. One of the best ambassadors of the game.
I remember that old clip that went around of him on Hockey Night in Canada when he was a Bruin, and he was like, my name is Jaromir Jagr, and my favorite player growing up was Jaromir Jagr.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that
I heard him swear on the broadcast. I heard him yell a fuck on the during his scoring chance. He was like, "Oh fuck."
It's so iconic that in the same episode that we talk about Chris Chelios, who played fucking forever, played till he was 47. We also talk about Jaromir
Jagr, who's still going
until fucking forever. Unbelievable. But I'm at 2%, so it's
big Jagr salute to Jaromir.
Yeah,
and our buddies who hold Penguins podcasts here.
Yeah. Anyone who listened, we all love you very much.
We all love you very much, and we'll be back. We'll try to do some post-deadline fun stuff. We'll see how that goes, and then keep an eye out on the schedule for the watch-alongs. We still got to get you in one.
Yes, I would like to get one very much.
Look out for that, and we'll see y'all when we see y'all.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at By J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.